been looking for help outlining my fantasy book, AFL the Bastard, and I'm wondering, I'm kind of crowdsourcing it because now that I published the poetry book, I'm doing the fantasy book, trying to finish that before the end of the year, although I don't know if that'll happen. Um Mic check. This is the first time I'm using the new live feature from desktop. I'm sharing this out. Okay. Let me know. Sometimes there are sync issues and things like that, but I mean, I have like this list of chapters, but I don't know. And guys, pick up JR. JR has a collection out. I'm always big about, hey, Exis. Usually on mobile, I can check out people's bios. But real quick, I'm always big on hyping up other authors, especially ones I know, even digitally. Digitally. Hey, Exis, you've been on here before, right? J.R. Phillips runs the collective. After if I can, I'll read quick your bio outline instead of being a pantser. I'm usually, I guess, a pantser, but it's not getting me very much. It's not getting me anywhere. After decades of remaining hidden, drowsy, and safe in my stories that have begun to haunt me in my sleep, demanding their release. So, with darting eyes and shaking hands, I have no choice but to succumb to their commands. Very cool, very gothic, very dope. And actually, so I guess I can read people's bios. So, let me see. Let's look for Exis. Hexus. Do you guys have advice? I mean, I know where I want the book to go, but I guess I'm just not sure how to get there. There you are. Oh, in Espanol. Read the story here. Lee la historia aquí. Very cool. Tras una profunda perdida, un jabón sigue señales que desobedecen lo real. Cada viaje lo acerca una verdad que podría costarle su pasado. En el camino descubre una historia común, lo que habías obliviado. In English, too. Hey, Mary Catelli, welcome in. Just getting the room set up. After a profound loss, a young man begins to read signs outside of the real. Each journey draws him closer to a truth that could cost him his past. Along the way, he uncovers a shared story, the one you had forgotten. Check that out. That's really cool. Hey, reactionary historian. I have to say, I don't know how much of a fan I usually am of reactionaries, but I'll give you a shot, you know, if it's okay. I just want to. Mary Catelli runs a writer of high fantasy, fairy tale fantasy, and occasional superhero tales. That's really cool, I think. Reactionary historian. I like to read people's bios, okay? I feel like it makes it a little bit more cool and interactive. And it's a cool way to meet people. Reactionary historian, a lover of history and scripture. Outlining has been a lot of fun. What I've done is gone back to each character to write their individual arc. It's been eye opening for me, and I've discovered hidden motivations. I'm going to write that down. That's a good idea. The topic of discussion for today is outlining a fiction novel, something that I'm unfamiliar with and hoping to learn from people on the call. So, Exis, reactionary historian, JR, thank you. Would love, Mary Catelli, would love to see how you guys do this. So, that's a great idea. Also, if anyone wants to join the live, please let me know because I like the discussion part of it. Lurk, everyone. Fair enough. Fair enough. Where is my pen? There's a pen. Writing the individual character arcs. So the individual character arc is of one person. His name is AFL. And he goes through it, man. He goes through a lot. Right. Hey, Ben, welcome back in. How are you doing? Topic of the day is how you outline a fantasy novel. I believe, if I remember correctly, you just kind of sit down and write, right? Guys, pick up Ben. Ben is cool. Ben writes stories here on Substack, and we've done a live before, and it was a good time. JR says writing individual character arcs. As always, floor is open if somebody wants to come. Oh yeah, got to put those Christmas lights up. How was the bolognese? The bolognese that day that you came on my live. Writing individual character arcs, seeing where the story goes. Yeah, it's Christmas time. I work at Amazon now in a sortation center, and I will tell you, um, half of what we get are just Christmas trees, fake Christmas trees of all kinds. Or at least that's what we used to get. I guess now it's getting a little bit late in the season on December 6th. Um, oh, not it's not awesome. Oh yeah, it's the Amazon part's not that awesome. It kind of sucks. But I'm new to trying to be an organized writer. I'm new to writing long form stuff. In case I don't think I've mentioned this to you, but check this out. Speaking of Amazon, I have a book out called Young. It's poems, which I know doesn't exactly have broad appeal, but I've written forever, just not novels. That's what I'm trying to focus on. But you guys can check out my book Young on Amazon. I have a weird last name, so if you search Amazon, you'll find it. Liebl. Bolognese. That's the Bolognese. But Sam Liebl. I'm really proud of this, and I was happy to get this published, so check it out. Minimal cover, I know. I'm no designer like Nico, um, but what is it about? It's a collection of poetry. So be forewarned, you know. There's no plot other than me being sad often, but there's some happy ones in there. There's some happy ones in there. Young is correct, yes. But JR had a good idea, which I like. If you're still on JR, what is the next step that you've taken after that? Thank you, Exis. I appreciate that. You know, you write out these individual character arcs, you kind of write out each of their stories. What's the step after that? You know, do you just then sit down and write, or is there another kind of outlining step? What if you also, to anyone who has successfully outlined a book, what are the methods that you use, but also like what's the process? I'm trying to get more into process. Okay, X's, thank you, but what is a beat? I'm working with an editor who says that I need a beat sheet. A beat sheet. What is a beat? What is a beat sheet? If you know what a beat sheet is. But X's says, I like to map out the beats and layers. First for the whole story, then for each part, then for each chapter, and finally for each scene. I would love to break down with you how you do that. You know, you break it down into chapters, I guess, and then like, what's a scene? You know, how long is a scene? You know, I'd love to even get granular down to like, check the Save the Kata Writes a Novel. There is a tool. Save the kata. Oh, sorry, did I just get disconnected? My computer locked. Sorry. Am I still on? Testing, testing. Let me put on my thing here. Cat, free tool, cat. You're on? Great, thank you. I use a tool called, it's hilarious, it's called amphetamine that keeps your computer on. So we're now on amphetamine. I hope that doesn't get flagged by Substack. Save the cat. I also have, thank you, thank you. Save the cat as a, I have this thing called the 90-day novel, or no, maybe the 90-day novel, the 60-day novel, something along those lines. Save the cat. A beat is a small unit of a story where something changes. See, I'm hoping this will be a learning experience for me from some more experienced authors. Save the cat as a guidebook. That's cool. Something happens. A beat is where something happens. It just feels like you can go like forever. My way of writing is asking myself, what if? Ben says, today's the 6th. I like that. Asking yourself, what if? Asking yourself, what if? What if she dies? What if his wife's ashes are in the suitcase? What if there's an earthquake? I like that. So in my story, there's sort of an inciting incident. There's an inciting incident in which there's this character AFL he's basically home alone, right? He's been given the keys to the house by his dad, and he really wants to impress his dad for a variety of reasons. And then a town within his realm is attacked, burned to the ground. So he's desperate to chase down these marauders and figure out what basically kill them, bring them to justice, whatever it is. So, you know, that part is the same, really, but what if there's a lot of times I could ask what if in the book. But I guess to me, I struggle with how granular a beat can be, you know? Like, how close is a beat to the finished product? And how do you go from a beat to a finished product? What's the process there? I'd be interested to know. I don't know if I'm at the point of asking, like, what if, because I know where the story is supposed to go, at least in my head. What's trouble is maybe this is just an elaborate way of me procrastinating. IYKYK. If you know, you know. And hey, thank you, El Ultima Oribe Historia, for subscribing to AFL the Bastard. I appreciate that. That is much appreciated. I'd asked you to come up, Ben, and discuss, although I know you have to hang your Christmas lights. History lights? What am I even talking about? Can you share a pic here? No, but you can share a picture on, and not because I don't want you to share one, but well, maybe I don't, but if you want to, maybe you can post it. Hey, DL Branson, maybe you can post it to Substack. You can tag me in it. Anybody can tag me in anything, pretty much. Hey, DL Branson, DL. D.L. Branson, humorous personal essays and humorous personal essays and short fiction. I write about the weird parts of being a person, the things we're all thinking but are too polite to say. Author of the upcoming debut novel, What the Dust Remembers. Welcome. Very cool. Ben says, I tried to think of where the story will sort of end and just write toward that end. Where the story ends. DL, how do you outline your novel, What the Dust Remembers? Or how did you, or are you doing that? I do happen to know where the story ends. So, Exus, I don't think you can share a image in the chat, but what you can do is post it to Substack and tag me in it. I can maybe restack it, repost it. But I would love to see how that works. I would love to see the beat mapper. If you could share that, that'd be great. And if anybody has any like diagrams, documents, and things like that, I'd be interested to know. DL says, for me, the novel, and again, everybody, the novel is What the Dust Remembers. For me, the novel started out as a short story for a college project over 15 years ago. Over the years, I kept adding plot points, drafting, etc. But typically, I start with an outline and build from there. What is, and DL, by the way, on my lives, everyone is welcome to pop up and everyone is welcome to pop up and discuss. So if you want to come promote your Substack, promote your novel, things like that, let me know. You're invited. You're welcome to. It's not for everybody, especially our introverted writer sensibilities, I suppose. But well, then DM me, Exis, if you don't want to post it because your branding is, yeah, send it over via DM. I hate the Substack Messenger or chat function, but it is what it is. I use it, so you know. But I'd be interested to hear about what an outline looks like for you, DL. That'd be pretty cool. Diagrams, book recommendations are all welcome. I'll see if I can grab it, but it's the 90-day novel by hmm. Hang tight. I'll be right back. Okay. So I got two approaches over here. This is the one I was talking about, the 90-day novel by Alan Watt. And this one seems to be more focused on like individual like character arcs and everything. So it's full of writing exercises. So like this one is, as your hero, write for 5 minutes, beginning with my epitaph will probably read, I would like my epitaph to read, I shouldn't think this, but. And then as an antagonist in your story, write for 5 minutes, beginning with what disturbs me is I no longer agree that the purpose of life is to. Interesting. Sort of good writing prompts. And then I guess, hopefully, this pivots at some point into a more detailed discussion. But this one I've been looking at and working on. I just wanted to kind of crowdsource it too to see what Substack says. Then I've got this one. This is more of a general kind of writing with Stephen King. I'm a fan of Stephen King. He has kind of consistently said, as far as I know, like, I don't really write so much with an outline as I do starting with, a situation and then building from there. And Access, I think I just got your DM, by the way. Oh, let me accept that. And a follow. Just messaged you back. I was awarded first prize in the Substack writer contest, Spanish edition, if you guys want to check it out. Stephen King is good. One of my favorite books of all time is The Stand by Stephen King. I didn't even know that there was a Substack writer contest in the Spanish edition. Hey, Annie Medella Festa, what's up? Annie Medella Festa, that's an interesting name. A reasonable amount of dystopia. I love that. I wrote a book, but nobody's buying it. What is your book? What is your book? D.L. Branson says, so I break my outlines into bullet points, plot points, typically just sentences. Then I add from there. Sometimes it's dialogue, full paragraphs, summaries. How long are your actual outlines? So let's say I want to arrive at kind of a classic fantasy novel length, which, as I understand, it's like 80K to 120K words. I want it to be kind of fit into that paradigm and mold. How well or how much do you create to wind up with that? And as always, I'm interested in the process of going for, because it seems to me there's a gap in my knowledge. One, I mean, I can make an outline, I can make a bullet point list of what happens in the story. But two, then I've also tried writing, just sitting down and writing, typing in this very spot. But there's a gap in between outline and finished product that I'm trying to resolve. I'm trying to resolve that. I like your picture, by the way, Anima della Festa. Thank you for that diagram. I appreciate that. That's cool. I have to say, I really like the new Substack Live from your desktop feature. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It used to be that you had to like MacGyver in OBS, open broadcasting software, or open broadcasting system, maybe. But you had to kind of, and I remember one time I did it, there was a big lag on it. So, topic of discussion, outlining novels. We've gotten some good stuff. J.R. Phillips says, writing individual character arcs and seeing where each go. Save the Cat. Mrs. S, welcome in. Save the Cat as a guidebook has been mentioned. Access has some good information. We've talked about what beats are, a small unit of a story where something changes. And then Ben Wurstenberg says, let me make sure I've got that name right. It's a German name if I've ever seen one. Wurstenberg is how you'd say it in German, but it's probably Wurstenberg. DL says, it really depends on the story and how much of the idea I have planned out. It's a work in progress approach. Once I have the outline fully fleshed out, the story from start to end, I turn it into a draft. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Mrs. S. Is it creepy or bad that I like look people up while I do this? I don't know. I hope. I just like to see who's on. Mrs. S is a retired MHP. Is that mental health practitioner? Gardener, quilter, and world traveler. Cats, go Cougs. Go Cougars. I just like to. Also, it's a way to promo, right? So DL Branson has a forthcoming novel coming out. Check out their Substack. X's won a Substack fiction writing contest in Spanish. J.R. Phillips runs The Collective on Substack. Check all these guys out. Check them out. We've gotten some good ideas. But we've defined a beat. A beat sheet, I guess, would be a collection of small units of the story where something changes. What are your big challenges, everybody, when you're outlining things? What typically goes wrong? What typically goes right? How much of it is a back and forth between the outline and the draft? Is it more of like you create the outline and then close the door on that, and then basically that remains kind of like a static file, and then you move on to the draft where it is more, you just sort of step one outline, step two draft from outline? Or is it like you outline it, start with the draft, but you go back and forth maybe and alter the outline? Or is the outline kind of just an exercise that you do once to get it in your head and then you write it out from there? Curious to know all aspects of everybody's stories and things like that. That'd be cool. Cool to know. But yeah, Exodus, I love Stephen King. I love The Stand. It's a great book. Also, how's everybody doing? Is everybody doing okay? Shout out, don't forget your beans. Shout out Cup of Joe here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Great local coffee shop. I'm off today, so I wanted to do a quick Substack live because I like doing those to meet new people and do that sort of thing. I know it's tough to type on mobile if you're on mobile, but I'm excited by the new Substack live desktop features and things like that. And if everybody's like, just want to get back to their Saturday, that's fine too. We can do that. I can start out with kind of like an outline and maybe use my own book as an example. So basically, high level, AFL the Bastard, which is it's currently a Substack publication, but I'm working on getting that into a published book, is the story of the illegitimate son of a powerful duke who has to fight against enemies inside and out to protect the country that he loves, all while guarding a secret so dark that it would destroy everything that he loves. Exus says, for me, and I hope I'm saying that right, Exus, for me, the outline is a living thing. It usually changes as I write. When I get down to the micro level, to the scenes, new beats show up. And sometimes they change the goals I had before. The problem is I end up editing a lot for that. Editing is my kryptonite. I hate, hate, hate editing. I hate it. I don't like it. That's why I hired an editor. So let me kind of transition into, we have an outline, and then we have maybe chapters below that. And then we have so outline made up of chapters made up of scenes made up of beats. Does this gel with everybody? Am I missing something? So if you work backwards, you've got beats, scenes, chapters, outline. I also don't want to overcomplicate this. I mean, there's also this procrastination aspect in me where I just, yes, beats, where I just kind of like will put off the actual writing of the thing. There's a Dorothy Parker quote that I love, where she says, "I hate writing. I love having written." She's great, but that's also a great quote that I empathize with or I identify with a lot. So kind of arrived at like a maybe I can compile this into some sort of Substack article. Writing your novel ideas. Yeah, it's a great quote. She is eminently quotable. Eminently quotable. Dorothy Parker, American writer and humorist. I hate writing. I love having written. But she's great. A great wit. She was active in the 20s here in the States. I don't hate writing. I hate editing. Heard. Heard. Hardcore heard. Mood. Mood. That said, does anyone have any hacks for editing? Anything that makes editing easier? What is there software that you use, hopefully that's free, that or at least has a free tier that makes editing easy? It seems to be that Google Docs is sort of the standard kind of thing, the standard. That is what I am working out of. I use an app called Ulysses. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ulysses, but Ulysses is this sort of markdown fusion kind of application that I enjoy. Takeaways. Anybody have any thoughts on editing? Does anyone enjoy editing? I would do editing if I were paid for it, but never out of fun. I write, out of fun or because I feel like I have to, but if you if you'd have any ways to enjoy editing, I'd be curious to hear them. And as always, what's the latest that everyone's working on? Have you guys started any new projects can you write the names? I just use Notion and Docs. So Ulysses is called. Um DL Branson says, I enjoy editing. That's where I take my basic ideas and flesh them out. That's where I add the fun details. Well, maybe I have a warped interpretation of what editing really is, right? To me, editing is the draft is done, and then you go back in and do grammar, things like that. Um, Make sure your quotation marks are in the right place. That a new term I'm starting to get familiar with is like line editing. Exis wants to know DL if you can edit Exis. So maybe a connection has been formed. It's always fun when that happens on the live. I enjoy that. Always good to form new connections. Substack's pretty good for that, forming new connections. It's a hotbed of talent. Has anyone done the I saw that there's this Substack Wrapped, WRAPPETED, where it shows you like um how what you read or how many of X that you read. It's kind of an interesting idea. Like Spotify. Spotify has your year wrapped like a present. And it's kind of interesting. Let me see if I can find here's the link. substackwrapped.com. Let me see what mine says. Just stack wrapping up your 2025 articles. I swear coding has gotten maybe too easy. Maybe too easy these days. It's working, spinning. It's a cool idea though, but Substack wrapped. Be interesting to see. Although I'm kind of nervous about what exactly it will show. It might show me being not as prolific as I'd like to be. It's thinking, hopefully that's a good thing, is that it's taking a long time to generate. I don't know. I published a lot. I kind of front loaded the year. I published a lot of really dense stuff at the beginning of the year, but maybe not much since then. I've got all my writing in different places across my computer, external drives, and that's a problem. It's a bad habit of mine is writing wherever. Hey, story beyond play, welcome in. Topic of discussion is how you outline a novel of any kind. I'm writing a fantasy novel, but it can be one of any kind. Um, but you're welcome. Everyone's welcome to pop up and like join the call. You don't have to turn on your camera. That's fine. But we can talk about it. I don't know. Substack Wraps doesn't seem to be working for me. Probably a bad sign. Probably a bad sign. Story beyond play. What do you write? Happy Saturday. It's not working for you either. Maybe too many people are generating it. I'll try again later. Be an interesting exercise to do. But yeah, Substack Wrapped is this. I'm not affiliated with Substack Wrapped. I don't know anything about it beyond like it's just a way to view. I think I'd be interested to know like what it checks out from what I have read. Like who are the authors I've read the most of? Maybe I put in the wrong link. Hang on. Oh wait, it's still working. Maybe this was vibe coded. Where I hit publish for the first. Okay, it's working. Remember when you hit publish for the first time in 2025? January 16, 2025, AFL The Bastard Chapter 2. You showed up and delivered. Published content in 28 of 52 weeks, 11 articles per month. That's not right. Oh, 11 well, what's your longest streak is 25 weeks? I don't know what that means. One topic really resonated with your readers. Platform and career was your top topic. I wonder where it gets this stuff. Low metrics though. AFL The Bastard touched hearts. Chapter 1 did. 42 reactions. This is cool. AFL The Bastard Chapter 1 went viral, it says. Very cool. DL Branson says, I should clarify my previous comment. I guess I don't enjoy editing so much as drafting, revising, taking the first draft and punching it up, adding details, and transforming my draft into something worth reading. Very cool. What are people's like processes? Do you sit down and write every day? Do you write only when you feel inspired? What's that whole thing like? I write in bursts. But this is so cool. I will have to like the Substack Wrapped. I did 13 live articles, live shows. Poetry, 6 articles. Fiction, 6 articles. Platform and career, 5 articles. The story of my year, month by month. It's showing a uh declining line chart going down. It's true. I published a lot in the first part of the year, didn't publish so much in the second part of the year. AFL the Bastard. Very cool. This is cool. This is interesting. Let me see what it is for my other publication. So Sam Craft. Might take another while again. DL Branson, maybe not open for editing, but I bet, I like the clarification on editing and stuff. Hey, Sean Brooks, welcome in. My name is Sam, writer. We're talking about outlining your novel. Oh, David Sedaris. I met David Sedaris a couple of times, and I've asked him what he did to become a better writer, and he told me to write every day. So I try to write every day, but Sundays are my dedicated days to writing. David Sedaris is a favorite of mine because he's a great writer, but also because he's from my city that I live in, Raleigh. A local legend here. A local legend, if you're into that sort of thing. But I grew up reading like Me Talk Pretty One Day, When You Are Engulfed in Flames. What's your favorite David Sedaris? My favorite is Me Talk Pretty One Day. But my mom has met him a few times at book signings. I never met the guy, but Santaland Diaries, was all over NPR back in the day. But great, great author. Yes, he's great. I wrote him a letter because he gave me a gift at one of his signings and he sent me a postcard back with a lovely note. That is so cool. Yeah, big up to David Sedaris. He's a cool guy. I think we might end the live at like 1 hour or sooner. Right now, it looks like we've been going on for like 43. My favorite is Me Talk Pretty One Day as well. That's the classic one. David Sedaris is one of the few authors who's actually made me laugh out loud, like while reading. I've read it and just been like, burst out laughing. That doesn't, I enjoy reading, but I'll tell you, it's rare that like text or a book makes me laugh out loud. But it's great to meet you, DL, by the way. It's always good to meet another writer. Looks like, okay, I was looking at my personal Substack, some other things going on there. Well, that's probably just interesting to me. But yeah, check out Substack Wrapped. I was interested to find that. Another author sent me that, and sort of like Spotify, but for Substack. Yeah, Me Talk Pretty One Day is a classic. What is it? Barrel Fever. Barrel Fever is another good one. And When You Are Engulfed in Flames, the one with the Van Gogh of the skeleton smoking a cigarette on the cover. It's a Van Gogh painting. One thing I'm always doing is drinking coffee. In fact, this is a Raleigh icon, the Cup of Joe. I've already mentioned that. Any closing thoughts from anyone? I've got some good things to take on into my writing practice. And tomorrow is Sunday, so that can be my dedicated day for writing. I don't know that I write every day. I don't know that I do. Actually, I don't. I know that I don't, and I should. I'm a poet, so I like poems because they're short and easy to complete. Even if some of them take a long time. And I wanted to say before I end the live, one last plug for my book, which is available on Amazon. It's called Young. It's poems by me. I really enjoyed his recent diary entry novels. That is cool. But if you want to read really good poems, Young by Sam Liebl, that's the name, Liebl. You just look on Amazon, it's on there. But I write like in a diary, sort of, even if it's just a few sentences, I write in that every day. Um, but yeah, you know, again, that Dorothy Parker quote, I hate writing. I love having written. That definitely, I identify with that quote. Thank you guys for being active in the chat. I really appreciate it. It's nice to hear from other people. And thank you to those who subscribe to AFL the Bastard. There should be more coming soon. But if you guys have any comments that you're in the middle of typing, try to get them out now because I'm going to end the live stream here within a few minutes. But it was great to meet everybody. Pick up DL Branson on Substack. Pick up Exis on Substack. Exis says, hey guys, I have to run, but this has been an amazing space to learn. If you want to read a queer lyrical story with a strong existential mood, you can subscribe and check out Exis. Available in English, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. Bom dia! I love Portuguese and Spanish and French, but or boa noche, depending on where you are. Boa tarde. Portuguese is a fascinating language, and how different it is from the other Romance languages. Hey, thanks to you guys. I don't mind doing lives that much. I just enjoy networking with other writers and finding new publications to subscribe to and new other people. But hey, thank you guys. Bom dia to the Portuguese. I don't know. One last shout out to whatever. Now that I'm rambling, it's probably a signal to close this down. Just under an hour. But hey, take care. Hard hands. Boom.